All right, welcome back to PNP Sports, everybody. Matt Lasella, Martino Puccio for the final segment of the day
No
before.
Deflaca Flame.
No, the flock of flame.
Sad
Oh,
day.
too bad I don't have the button. It's like wah wah wah. So, anyways, last segment of the day before, or last segment of February before we hit March. A huge month. Baseball coming back. Basketball, football, combine stuff. I think the combine's going on nowish, right?
I think next week or it might be. I don't
Not
know.
really
I don't.
sure.
I try not to pay any attention to the NFL until like August rolls
Well,
around.
NFL free agencies popping up. That's important. So, anyways, I wanted to touch up upon because we were talking about the Brooklyn Nets earlier and how Jason Kidd left after I think it was just 1 year
Right.
in Brooklyn, and he took the job in Milwaukee, and he became Milwaukee's president of basketball operations, kind of like a Doc Rivers situation. You're seeing more of those things going on with you got your coach handling player personnel.
Yeah,
It's too much power.
it's too much, and they think that hey, if I can handle free agent signings and
No,
and
you
all
can't.
basketball
You can't.
operations, I can
You can't.
form my team to how
No
I
one,
want
no
it, and
one
it
can.
doesn't work.
No one can do. People
It
look at
does.
the
It
New
does
England
not work.
Patriots and they see Bill Belichick doing what he's doing. Bill Belichick is an outlier. Bill Belichick is an aberration. Bill Belichick is the smartest man in his sports history. Okay, he is the outlier. He is the excuse for it. I mean, it. Come on. I mean, Phil is running the Knicks. Phil Jackson is running the Knicks without even coaching, and he's having a difficult time doing it. What makes you think for a guy like Jason Kidd, never only won one ring when he was on the Dallas Mavericks, a notorious guy that was a cancer to his coaches, just always conflicting with coaches. Now it kind of doesn't look as bad with the Byron Scott situation if you look at what happened with D'Angelo Russell. But I could all start it off where they had a good draft pick. They had Jabari Parker, they had the Greek Freak. Um, then they had Larry Sanders, but then Larry Sanders retired. Whatever that was. Chris Middleton's a solid player. John Henson they got. They had Brandon Knight. So you're thinking, Milwaukee's a pretty solid team. They got some talent there. Who knows what they could do while they're working it out? Brandon Knight was going 25-5. Then all of a sudden, trade deadline comes along last year, and they make a swing trade, and they get Michael Carter-Williams. Now, Michael Carter-Williams probably has the worst shooting percentage for a point guard in the NBA that qualifies for the amount of minutes he plays. Ever since then, I'm pretty sure the Bucks have had a losing record, and the Milwaukee Bucks are it's getting out of control. There's been reports that Jason Kidd is losing. The ownership of the Milwaukee Bucks is losing patience with Jason Kidd and his whole um, constructive view of how he's building this Milwaukee Bucks team because Jabari Parker is a small forward type, but he's forced to play the four because of the Greek Freak. And they signed Greg Monroe, which didn't make much sense of a signing. They signed him for quite a bit of money. Um, do you think it's a good enough core to even move forward, or there's just too many of the same parts that don't work out?
I think it's too many to say. I think it's too many of the same parts, but I can see where he thought the system would work. You can start a starting lineup with five very long guys: CarterWilliams, Middleton, Giannis, Jabari, theoretically, even though he was hurt to start the year, and Monroe. That's five long guys, could all run the floor, good in transition, good defenders, and they are good. They are a good defensive team, But in theory, it's a good system. On paper, it's a good system. They have six players that are averaging double figures, and it looks good. But Jason Kidd just bit off way, way more than he can chew. As a second or third year head coach in the league, well, I mean, I don't know where that takes a lot of guts. You're trying to run a team from the business perspective and the coaching perspective. I just think that he's just it was just way too much for him. And I think the system could work maybe with a different coach. But at this point, it might be time to jump ship on that and go a different route.
I think it was more of a. I think basketball's a very ego sport because when you play basketball, you play both sides. You play offense, you play defense, and it's usually the guy. And usually the guy on the floor, like LeBron's been the guy, that's your go-to guy, offense, defense, he's your best player on both sides of the ball. Jason Kidd was the guy in New Jersey for his whole career, okay? And Jason Kidd has a sense that he knows what he's talking about. He's a point guard. He understands the game better. That's the one position that understands the game better than anyone else. Okay, and he was a head coach in Brooklyn, and he had a successful first year. He won a championship. He went to 3 finals. He's really been there, done that. So I think he thought that gave him the sense that he knew he could build a winner, just like MJ thought he could own a team easy. No, it hasn't turned out that way, and they really don't know how to figure out how to win a championship. And I don't think the core he's built is working out that well. I don't think it's that good. There's talent on the roster, but I think they need to move one of Giannis or Jabari soon.
I think Giannis makes the most sense to move.
I think he's hit almost his ceiling. I
Yeah,
think we know what he is.
I don't know. I still think there's more to his ceiling. Monroe is
Either way,
a 16 and 10 guy, and he's been that way since 2012.
Either way,
they
can't develop that way. They're paying Monroe as a starter, but he's on the bench.
Right.
Okay? They're playing Jabari as a 4 when he's a 3. They're playing Greek Freak wherever the heck he wants to go, but that still doesn't work out because they're not developing them properly. They're stunting both Jabari and Giannis.
I think you have. I think
they got to make a move.
You're gonna move someone. It's Giannis. I think he holds the most value. I think you can get a couple first rounders or however you're gonna draw up the trade if there's other players involved in the Bucks, 3 teams. However you're gonna do it. But I think Giannis makes the most sense to move, and I think he could be like a 28-8 guy.
Philly, you can send him to Philly.
Everybody could go to Philly and
get one of the big men, but it works for one of the big men. They get one of the big men and they put him over.
You go Giannis for.
Oh, you got to get a first rounder.
Yeah, so a first rounder and
a player.
Nerlens, or
no.
Embiid probably makes the most sense.
You could even do a 3-team swing trade. You never know.
And you give a guard to Philly, and Giannis goes to somewhere that needs the 3. I don't know who's
almost everywhere.
Well, I don't know who's in the position to be shipping a guard. Okay, so what, Phoenix or something, Giannis to Phoenix and Bledsoe to Philly, something like that. Maybe
Orlando Magic.
The Magic makes sense too.
Make a trade with Atlanta.
Yeah.
Go get one of their guards.
Yeah.
They need a guard.
Chris
Middleton is a solid 2 guard. He's really good shooter, but
they don't have a definitive. Yeah, CarterWilliams plays the 1, but he's not a. With the team that they have,
there's something missing. They have nice pieces, but I just don't think it's good enough, and I don't think Jason Kidd is smart enough, and I think he's going to get pickpocketed. I think someone's going to come along, see Jason struggling, and Jason is going to feel pressure to make a move, and he might just make a move that he might later regret, kind of like the Brooklyn Nets did. And I wouldn't put it past them if they kind of didn't rebuild, but sort of reload. And I think they, first of all, they need a really strong 5 and they need a really strong 1. But do I think they're gonna find that anytime soon? No, I don't think they're gonna find that anytime soon. I think they're gonna be stuck on the treadmill unless they make a smart move or one of the ping pong balls
so
bounces
you think
their way.
Jabari needs to be up at the 3.
Jabari needs to go to the 3.
And Monroe needs to be at the 4, so they need to get a 1 and a 5.
Yes, I think, I don't see how it's gonna or you keep the Greek Freak and you trade Jabari.
Yeah, I mean,
it depends on what Jason Kidd sees in both of them and who he thinks is going to be better. To me, Giannis is better than meets the eye. Is not as good as his numbers say.
Jabari's been tearing it up the past few games.
Jabari's recovering for a major knee injury, so technically this is kind of his first full season. It is his first full season in the NBA. So and Jabari's kind of like coming down from his weight. He's got to get his shot back. I think he's really. People forget how good he was in college.
Yeah,
he's
one of those players where a big prospect coming out of college, you're injured to start your NBA career, and then if you don't come back strong like he is, you get forgotten about and you never have a career. Blake Griffin came back strong, right? If Blake Griffin came back and was just or played for just an team like in Milwaukee, Blake Griffin kind of just flies under the radar his whole career. And so if Jabari doesn't get out or they don't get better, he gets forgotten about. And he forgets how good he was coming out. I mean, that really is, the big thing. He's forgotten about. He's forgot about how good he was coming out of Duke.
But that it's better
And
off for
hopefully
him.
he can regain some of that.
I think he has already. He's really been showing it these past couple of games. But to touch up on it one more time, I think the Michael Carter-Williams trade is really what started it all. I don't know why they ever traded Brandon Knight. Who knows? Phoenix might want to reset it. They go trade for one of Phoenix's guards again.
That's what I think that could make.
Do the Lakers want to give up D'Angelo Russell? Take D'Angelo Russell?
They lose. Phoenix loses Markieff at the 3, so
Give
getting
him
Giannis back would be, maybe. And Phoenix needs to
You
rebuild.
got to see. Phoenix.
They're in a tough.
They don't have to trade Brandon Knight. Phoenix can take the Greek Freak and CarterWilliams maybe. Give them for that lottery pick.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, there's
a swap next year.
Yeah, there's a few options, and Brandon Knight always seems to be getting the butt end of trades and posters.
He's a
and
solid
dunks.
player. He was dropping
And he's a solid
25 and
player.
5.
Yeah,
He's a really good player. He
Yeah.
was really good coming out of Kentucky when they made it to the Final Four. That was one of the more underrated teams that year.
Oh yeah.
So I think Milwaukee's in a very tricky situation, and there's going to be teams like Boston and Philly that have a ton of assets that could possibly pounce on it. Because the Greek Freak, if you think about it, like even Boston, give him Avery Bradley or somebody like that, or even the young guards they have. They have so many things to give up, Boston, but all that matters is where those ping pong balls bounce. And as of right now,
Cleveland getting the lottery pick again.
Right now, Milwaukee's in the lottery.
Yeah.
So you never know where they could bounce. That ball goes that way. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens. It's all speculative moves as of right now, but you really get a better sense of what is going on in terms of picks once the lottery happens.
Because if they somehow land the one, think about that.
Well, even then, they're in a situation where they...
Well, because then you're going for Ben Simmons, which is the exact player that's
three.
already in this system. He's already the Jabari Giannis type that's in the system, and then you have to say, okay, now we have the best player in college, Ben Simmons, #1 pick. Do we have to keep the same system we're using?
Well, then
you're stuck back on the treadmill.
Use it as trade bait for a team that really wants that #1 pick. Do you get a bunch of guys from Boston? If Boston wants that pick, swap with Boston. You don't know.
That'd be crazy. That'd be wild.
Swap with Phoenix.
And I could see it. Yeah, that'd be wild.
But that's if Milwaukee falls that low, and that's a real stretch. That's a real stretch.
Unless they'd have to tank it. They'd have to fire Kidd.
But then again, you never know what happens because it's the lottery.
Right.
The Bulls that one year, Cleveland
getting it. So obviously anything can happen, but in perspective,
but the past 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure the #1 overall record got the #1 pick, right?
#1 overall record.
Worst record
yeah.
Got it. Highest percentage. It was. Timberwolves got it this past year, and then the year before, I don't think
it was Cleveland.
Cleveland moved up. Yeah, you're right.
They stole that.
Philly. I think Philly's finally going to get the
Milwaukee was in the running for
pick.
that one.
I'd be shocked. I wouldn't. Who knows? As of right now, the Brooklyn pick is an 11% chance to get #1. It's a 90% chance to get top 5 lock. There really isn't it. It's just really the bottom 4 teams are Brooklyn, Phoenix, the Lakers,
LA and
Philly. But who knows how much worse Brooklyn is going to be, and who
And
knows where
Brooklyn
Phoenix...
might
I think Phoenix is going to win a couple more games once Brandon Knight comes back. It'll take some pressure off of Devin Booker and a bunch of the guys. But anyways, that'll do it for us here at PMP Sports. Another great week. Really excited for Iona Manhattan tonight. We're going to be coming back next week with March Madness stuff, baseball previews. I think right before spring break, I want to do season award predictions, or maybe even the week after that for MLB, and then playoff picture for NBA, and then obviously March Madness predictions. So that'll do it for me and Matt. Hopefully Mike will make it out here next time. PMP Sports. See you next week.